let's go around the table on this question. Who do you think is the primary victim? Oh my God. Who do you think is the primary victim of war, men or women? Somebody in the chat asked me to ask that. It wasn't my idea. They forced me to.
Primary victim of war,
Here.
men or women?
I don't know. I have to think.
Okay, we'll skip.
guess.
Go ahead.
I think both. I think they're equally primary victims.
Well, you have to choose one.
I'm not going to take a stance.
Both.
I'm.
What about,
yeah.
okay, really quick, the Ukraine war. What do you think about for the Ukraine war?
I think both. I think they're both
Okay.
victims of war.
All right.
Men.
Okay.
Men.
I'd say men.
Men, because they're getting blown up.
I think men also.
Really quick for you. So I guess really quick, we won't linger on this one. By the way, guys, the TTS is 30 if you want to get your final messages in before we wrap up here. So, what was I going to say? So I guess why?
Why?
Like, why do you think they're both the primary victim?
Because they're both being affected negatively by war. Like it doesn't like.
Tarek donated $30.
Damn.
I bet the redhead has a hairy
What the
butthole.
fuck?
Jesus Lord.
You want to find out?
Whoa.
Yeah, I think they're both primarily affected. I mean, they're.
Valdev donated $30. Caught up on the day episode. Hats off to you, man, for unironically and unintentionally making a perfect documentary of what men are trying to avoid in this modern dating hellscape. Love, White Top.
Which one? Oh, she was. Is Val Dev the one who always sends a TTS in when the person's up from the table or whatever? Okay, thank you, Val Dev. Appreciate it. I'm going to pause that temporarily just so we can get through it. But if you guys want, TTS will be paused just temporarily to get through a couple things, and then we'll let them come in, and then we'll wrap the show. So, okay, really quick. So negative impacts on both men and women. I actually agree. There are negative impacts to war for both men, women, children, etc. But is maybe worse for one gender over the other?
I mean, no, I'm still going to stand on both. I think that both are negatively affected. I mean, yeah, men are getting blown up, but I mean, women have to deal with if they are relying on a man, they have to deal with not having the man in the house to help them. I don't know.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question on this? So, who's the? I guess when it comes, so you're talking about suffering, kind of, right? Men suffer, women suffer. Does when a woman gets pregnant and goes through pregnancy, childbirth, is the woman the primary sufferer or is the man, like the husband?
The woman.
Because it's really hard for me to see my wife or girlfriend. It's hard for me to see her in pain, and she's gonna squeeze my hand really tight when she's going through labor, and she might give me a bit of carpal tunnel. My hand, she squeezed my hand really tight. I don't have the biggest hands, whatever.
That's not the same concept, though. I mean, the woman
Well,
and the
it's
children
kind
are
of
being
is.
negatively affected, and you also have
I'm being negatively affected by you going through the pregnancy.
I mean,
Yeah, he can't do much about it. He just has to sit there and watch.
Yeah.
fair enough, but
Because wouldn't you say that the majority of the people fighting are men?
sure.
So then
But
wouldn't
they're,
they be the
like-
primary one to
But isn't that your role as a man to protect, to fight? So why are you complaining
Yeah,
about
so they're
it?
putting their
So,
lives
but they're
literally
the
on the line
then you
there.
could
So
admit
do
they're
it.
the primary
They
ones
should.
affected by it.
So-
They're not
so-
complaining though. They're just asking,
Wait,
do
here.
men?
So let me ask you this then. So typically when it comes to war, now there will be ramifications, but let's say that you're 19, well, let me think here. World War II. So if we're looking at this from the perspective of the United States, so we went to Europe and we went to the Pacific Theater in World War II. Were we involved in the Africa Theater at all? Anyways, that's besides the point. Aside from Pearl Harbor, there was not really any military action geographically in the United States. Actually, funnily enough, the Japanese, here locally in Santa Barbara, they bombed an oil derrick or something, whatever. That's besides the point, though. we were fighting in other countries, and those were primarily the men. Now, the women, they lost their husbands or brothers or sons, whatever. Hard for them, right? But like in this instance, where, because for example, you could make a stronger argument if they're fighting on your turf and the women are also like civilian casualties.
Well, that's what I was going to say after that. I mean,
But so if we're looking at, for example, when it came to the U.S. involvement in World War II, who would you say was the primary victim of war among United States citizens for World War II?
I mean, there wasn't, other than Pearl Harbor, there wasn't anything going on American soil. So, I mean, primarily when you're talking about the physicality of it, sure, men were the primary victims.
Okay. Now, if we
In the
then,
US.
Sure. Now, so let's even bring this, though, and apply it to you're a woman and you live in a country that's being invaded, right? So there is a chance there for you to be, especially if you're close to the front, there's a chance there for you to be bombed or there's civilian casualties. Civilian casualties do make up both men and women. But if we look at the Ukraine war, for example, so all the Ukrainian men had to stay in the country. They could, whereas women were allowed to flee. So if you're a Ukrainian woman, you can just pass into a different country. You're going to end up in Austria. You're going to end up in Germany. You're going to end up in London, Stockholm, wherever. All the women could leave. All the men had to stay. Some of those men were drafted into military service. Not sure the exact numbers as far as how many of those drafted men died. If that was sort of the general thing that occurred in war, so men had to stay and fight, women were able to retreat and flee, would that not be?
I mean, sure. I mean, if you're talking about like in the physical sense of being a victim, yeah, obviously. But I mean, I'm sure there's still women affected by it, like physically. I mean, you also have the issue of like your whole entire life being derailed and you don't know like the
Can she come
circumstances.
back for a bit? We're going to wrap in
think-
like 10 minutes.